Hmm. Verse 11. Shuchau deshe प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरमासनम आत्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नाति नीचम चैलाजिन कुशोत्तरम. Shuchau deshe, in a clean place. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya, having seated yourself or having positioned yourself. Sthiram asanam atmanah, your own asanam. Your own asanam you establish in a clean place. Natyuchritam, na ati uchritam, not too high, na ati nicham, not too low. Chaila ajina kusha uttaram. So it's either you use a cloth or a deer skin, or you put a cloth, or essentially you put a deer skin, you put a cloth, and you put a kusha grass, and then you sit on top of that. So essentially, you create an asana. First, you put, I think the sequence here is you put a kusha, and then you put the deer skin, and then you put a cloth, and then you sit on top of that. Right? This is how it is explained. And this is the asana. So, what is happening here is Krishna is starting to explain how to do dhyana. In the previous session, we saw um, how he said you bring your attention within yourself, bring it to the bhumadhya and things like that, right? Now he is going into a little more detail, and he's starting to explain the whole process of how should one engage in dhyana. Now, as we said, um, it may not be easy to directly jump into this. Now, several of us may be familiar doing dhyana meditation. We may have the initiation to it. We may have learnt it from several teachers or gurus or whatever, and we are practicing it. But otherwise, it may not be easy to just start doing what he is saying here, right? Just because it is said here, we can't just pick up chapter 6 and start doing it this way. Um, it requires a certain frame of mind. It requires an ability to go and sit in a certain place. It requires you to know what to do in that during this is being done, all of that. So now remember, he is teaching it to Arjuna, who is extremely focused. Remember, of all the Maharathis, Arjuna is an Atirathi. He is considered to be one of the greatest valorous warriors of all times. So he's teaching it to somebody like that. So if you go tell him, sit down and focus. Even when he was a small boy, he used to practice shooting arrows at a trying to hit a mark at night, and this is what helped him when the Kauravas attacked the Pandava camp at night during the Mahabharata war. They did a unlawful thing. So at that, so this he his guru didn't ask him to practice at night, but he practiced, and the guru came and asked him, why were we practicing at night? The guru said, what if the enemies attack at night? What if, right? I mean, he had that kind of a forethought, and he said, which means that as a warrior I should be prepared at all times. At all times I should be prepared. So he would get up, he would go and silently at night practice. So you're talking about somebody who's got that level of chitta ekagrata. Of course, this Vedavyasa wouldn't have penned it just for Arjuna. He would have, the way he would have transcribed it is also so that it reaches to everybody. But you're also talking about somebody here who's receiving this, who is at a certain level of understanding within that I need to sit and do dhyana. What does dhyana mean? I need to bring my, so the dhyana is in Ashtanga Yoga, it is the eighth one. right? You have after pratyahara, the fifth one, you have got dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So dhyana essentially, um, so you first you've got your yama niyama, then asana, then pranayama and pratyahara. So yama niyama are essentially your foundations. These are things that you engage in, don't do. Yamas are you regulate yourself from that, and niyamas are observances or disciplines that you develop. So you have to establish in this. Then you come into asana, which is what he's explaining, the kind of asana that you use. And then you do pranayama, and then you do pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. So you fix your asana, then you do your regulation of the breath, then you do your withdrawal of the senses, and then you go into dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Right? So these are like, you can fit this description in one page, but it's not as easy to approach it, right? So here he's saying you pick up, so he's starting, but he's still giving the basics of it, saying that you can still attempt it, and there'll be a time, if you are sincere enough, there'll be a time somebody will come and teach you the proper way to do it, right? But the basics are here. Like you use a kusha grass, your cloth. He's saying a deer skin here, right? Now deer skin is not, it's a uh, it'll be illegal to go and obtain a deer skin these days. One of the reasons animal skin was used those days is because, excuse me, um, creatures like snakes and scorpions, when they smell animal skin, they will not come near it. Which is the reason you will find most of the rishis sitting on an animal skin and doing tapas. In fact, Ramana Maharshi for many years used an animal skin to do his sadhana or tapas or dhyana. But of course, this animal is not, you're not hunting the animal to get the skin. These are dead animals that have been found in the forest or in their habitat. And then the skin is taken off to use as your seat or whatever. In fact, even some rishis would wear it as a cloth, as a clothing, right? So one of the reasons is that these skins, the odor that it emanates, it keeps poisonous creatures away. Scorpions, snakes, and some of those puran சொல்லுவால, those centipedes which are poisonous in nature, they keep them away. Because when the yogi sits and starts meditating, they don't have this kind of environment that we have today, right? We are blessed with a very, very, very comfortable and a convenient environment. They used to do it, even if you're doing it in your backyard, even if you're doing it in your backyard in a silent place, you are not safe from some of these creatures, right? In those times, because there is cohabitation that was there at that time. So you will have these things come in. So serious yogis, if they want to get into like deeper states of meditation without hindrance, environmental hindrance, they would use this. And kusha grass kusha has the nature of, uh, these days you get mats, kusha mat. You go to Giri stores, you'll find kusha mat. Meditation mats are made with kusha grass. Darbainu சொல்லுவா தமிழ்ல. And it's considered to be a very sacred grass. And it's the name kusha came is because you need to have a skill to take the grass out. So from kusha grass, the grass is called kusha. If you pull the grass in the wrong direction, it can scratch you. The grass is like this, it's pointed in a certain direction, and then you pull it in the wrong direction, it'll scratch you or it can hurt you. And so from kusha came the word kaushalam. Kaushalam is to be skillful, right? So one who's able to skillfully take the kusha grass is known to be kaushala, somebody who's skillful. So he uses this asana. Why is asana important? And does not too high, not too low. The asana is important because you are having to make sure that the place that you sit is of comfortable nature so that the body does not go through discomfort when you're trying to go into um, meditation or dhyana. And here you notice he says, Sthiram asanam atmanaha, his own, your own asana. It's very important to use your own asana for meditation. Don't switch or change between, even if you're husband, wife, mother, father, mother, child, husband, I mean, father, child. Don't switch between your asanas for meditation. Your asana is your own. In fact, it is also recommended to sit in the same place and face the same direction every time you do dhyana, because it builds up a certain cocoon of energy. And every time you enter into that cocoon of energy that you have built for yourself, it enhances and enables you to do your sadhana much more effectively. If you've done sadhana for enough amount of time in a certain place, you'll notice when you enter and sit there, the ability to go into dhyana will be much easier. You don't have to struggle every time. So that is why the same place, the same asana that you use is important. The energy builds up. The energy builds up in that space and in that seating that you have. Hmm. So he's saying use this setup and
And
uh,
ഒരു questioning about that same, talking about staying in the same space using the same cloth or mat or whatever that we are using. Um, you see, energy builds up, but what if it's like we're releasing? So we are releasing. Will it stay? Will that also stay? So that's one question that I've always like wondered. If energetically it's building up and it's positive energy, then that's fine. அது மட்டும், so then the corollary will also happen, right? So is that then how, what in that?
okay.
I
So
don't
your
want to keep
question is,
staying in that same.
got it, got it. So question is, if you're going there with negativities and then your negativities are releasing, is the negativity getting trapped there? And hence, when you go every time, is negativity going to build up? Right? Now, the point is, what are you doing there is of importance. When you're going and sitting there, your negativities are dissolving, but the process that you're initiating there, are you going to sit there and start thinking, intensifying your negative thoughts, or are you going to go and sublimating your negativities? What is the process that you're going to initiate there is of importance. If you're going to
இல்ல
sublimate
நான்
them,
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணறத ஒரு ஒரு
your
இன்டென்ஷனோட தான்
intention,
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன்.
your intention is to sublimate.
ஆமா.
Intention
ஆனா
is
that doesn't mean, I mean, sometimes there have been times I was sitting and என்னையே அறியாம it was just going somewhere. And then by the time I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I have just created this whole story and all the dialogues, full screenplay நடந்தாச்சு. And then I'm like, oh, now what? Like, I
no.
can't sit
So
for
see,
longer time to
understand,
clear
understand. See, the
that.
important thing is the space you're creating, that space with a certain intention. What is that intention? That you want to sublimate yourself, you want to become more positive, you want to drop out the burdens that you're carrying, you want to remove off all your negativities. This is the intention with which we are going into that space. Now eventually what happens into that, in that space, is anybody's guess. I mean, it can anything can happen there, right? Now just that's creating that space, I'm not saying that just creating that space is not going to, tomorrow 5 years later you come into that space, it's going to be you're going to sit there and you're going to go into samadhi. No, what will happen there is a function of multitude factors, right? But this is an enabler. It's an enabler. Now if you figured out over time, maybe sitting in this spot is only causing me more anxiety and distress, change the spot, change the location, change the direction, figure out. I'm saying it's an enabler. This is one
Yeah,
of the
because it's
enabler.
the same spot that, well, I mean, why I'm confused is because in the இதே spotல I've had experiences.
So
right?
then
So that was some time ago. And
you
then,
understand. So it doesn't mean that the spot is suddenly, now you possibly, that's why I'm saying they're a function of several things. It's not just that spot always has to give you blissful experiences. No, it's not that. It's also stabilizing you. Suppose if you had very blissful experiences, it's probably stabilizing you. It's saying that it's okay, come down to reality. You got to stabilize yourselves. Stabilize yourself. So what it's working on you is hard to say, but I'm saying work with it. There is always value in building up a certain energy space for yourself, and over time it will definitely, and again, as I'm saying, it's the intention with which you go in. Every time you make a resolve, now 3 times it's been bad, that's okay. The fourth time you're going in with the right resolve and intention, it'll start turning around. And these are ups and downs. It's not just the space that's going to cause. And if certain times you see 2 times out of 5 you find that space is causing you distress, then shift. Maybe you had an experience, wonderful experience 2 years ago, but now it's causing me this. Move. I'll move. I'll create another space for me. Right. So it's the point is not that suddenly that becomes the most important thing. No, it's an enabler, like any other thing. It's an enabler. Yes, Mama.
Just to add for Shiva, the place is important because we go to school daily to do a particular job. The place. இப்போ வந்து நம்ம வீட்டிலே படிக்கிறோம். There's a difference now. இப்போ இருக்கிற குழந்தைகள் கேட்டால் தெரியும். இங்கே படிக்கிறதுக்கும் ஸ்கூலில் போய் கிளாஸ் ரூமில் படிக்கிறதுக்கும் there will be a difference because the space. அந்த அந்த கிளாஸ் ரூமில் போய் படிக்கிறோம்னா அந்த environment again. The environment includes your experience also. That's why I think probably Guru will correct me if I'm wrong. மார்னிங்ல வந்து தியானம் பண்ணும்போது our mind has got less of experiences. These experiences only causes our mind to run away.
Yeah.
If we don't have any kind of experience, இப்போ வந்து ஒரு நாள் ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது நம்ம தூங்கி இருந்தோம்னா மேபி அந்த அந்த ட்ரீமோட லெஃப்ட் ஓவர்ஸ் இருக்கலாம். அதை வந்து நம்ம கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணிக்கலாம். நம்ம வந்து கொஞ்சம் அப்படி ஓகே கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணோம்னா வேற எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸ் இருக்காது. But as we go in the evening, our day is collecting all garbage is coming in. So that will definitely affect us to do meditate. சாயங்காலம் மெடிடேட் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமானது.
Very difficult.
ஏர்லி மார்னிங் நம்ம அதனால தான் பிரம்ம முகூர்த்தம்லாம் சொல்றது பெரியவா சொல்றது. அந்த பிரம்ம முகூர்த்தத்தில் வந்து நம்ம எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸே இருக்காது. அந்த சமயத்தில் just like we go to a classroom, we all keep quiet, teacher வருவா பேசணும் பேசக்கூடாது. Getting ready for
receiving.
குருஜி சொன்ன மாதிரி இட்ஸ் an enabler. அந்த இடத்துக்கு போன உடனே நம்ம இப்போ தியானம் பண்ண போகிறோம், எல்லாம் ஆல் கீப் குவைட், ஆல் மை தாட்ஸ் ப்ளீஸ் கோ அவே, ஐ ஹாவ் டு மெடிடேட், ஐ ஹாவ் டு ஃபோக்கஸ் ஆன் மை மைண்ட். அந்த 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 சாதனை வந்துடும். அது
ஆமாம்.
அதுக்கு தான் வந்து இல்லையா குருஜி, அதுக்கு தான் நம்ம ஒரே பண்ணணும், ஒரே சமயத்தில் பண்ணணும், ஒரே திக்கை பார்த்து பண்ணணும்.
Absolutely correct, Mama. நீங்க சொன்னது that is exactly what it is. It is, but the important thing is also to understand that the recognize the difference between what is your intention versus what is the enabler. Enabler is something that will always, you're looking for things to assist you. You're looking for things to constantly assist you in what your intention is. Intention has to be that resolute. Intention has to be strong. You build that intention and you find maybe in a certain place during a certain period this place is not working out. It's okay. Experiment with your space, experiment with yourself. There's nothing wrong in that. But it's never that a place, again, as I said, it's also helping you stabilize maybe. Because a lot of times we seek out some experiences and we don't, it's not necessary that not having an experience is not a great thing. No, complete calm and peace descending upon us is also is probably the best kind of state you would like to be in. right? Because there are times you may have really exalted experiences, but then the mind starts seeking, and so it creates a certain gap. And then we say that maybe it's not happening, and that the process of trying to leap towards those experience, it's creating more anxiety in the system, and because of that anxiety, then it's going astray. So all game of the mind. Now, if you just drop the whole seeking of those experiences, then what remains there is just silence and bliss, and it's already there. We may be able to come back to that. So this is, as you, and again, not just with the space, not just with space as an enabler, the direction that you're sitting, the seat that you're sitting, the clothes that you're wearing. Do you do it after taking shower, or do you do it before taking shower? Like Mama said, do you do it in the morning? Do you do it in the evening? Or do you do it right in the middle of the day? All of these things, you figure out what is the right thing as an enabler. But there are certain times, certain spaces, certain directions which are naturally conducive, and we use that. And if that time, for example, you say the um, if you say during Uttarayana period or the Guru Purnima, for example, Guru Purnima is an excellent time to sit and meditate. The whole energies are going and enabling you. And then on that day, I sit and meditate, and I'm having the worst kind of meditation. That doesn't mean that Guru Purnima or that energy uprising is all false. No. Somehow that particular day, I have not been able to prepare myself to receive it. Right? It's the same thing. For example, we say don't eat onion and garlic. It's usually recommended not to eat onion and garlic. Why? Because these are nervous stimulants. It causes certain it causes certain lethargy in the mind. Right? Now, if you do it this, no, but you say that no, but I am eating onion and garlic, nothing's happening to me. What is wrong? And that's because your system has become insensitive to it. So don't have onion garlic for enough amount of time, and then you have it, and then you will see the difference. Aha, that is all it is. How sensitive we build our system to understand these nuances, these changes. Like for example, the body goes through changes during the whole moon cycle. On Purnami, it is at certain state of functioning. Amavasya in a certain state of functioning. On Ekadashi, is certain state of functioning. All of this is there. But how sensitive we have built our system to, on Ashtami, you say Chandra Ashtami, the mind gets disturbed. Do you observe it? Do you monitor it? Do you keep a Nityakala calendar, like 15 days calendar? Do I keep a calendar to notice how I have been behaving and how things have been impacting? Then we start becoming sensitive slowly, and then some of these things will start making a difference. Like there is a Swamiji called Swami Rama's disciple. Uh, uh, um, is a very interesting name he's got. Tigunath, Tigunath Tigunath Maharaj or something like. Maybe you can look up. Somebody asks him this question: Swamiji, does direction really matter? In what direction do I sit and meditate and all that? He said yes and no. He said, yes, it matters. If you're sitting facing the north and the east, it is an enabler. But if you are at a certain point within yourself, within yourself, you have established or you've built yourself to meditate wherever you're able to go and not get disturbed by the environment, then don't bother. It doesn't matter. Sit in whatever direction, sit in whatever place, because you've learned how to go within. Right? You can be sitting in the under the shower and you can have a nice dhyana.
இது வந்து சைக்கிள் கற்றுக்கும் போது ஹேண்டில் பாரை விடக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லுவோம். ஏன்னா அப்போதெல்லாம் போய் விழுந்துடும். நல்லா சைக்கிள் ஓட்டும் போது நீங்கள் கையை விட்டுட்டு ஓடலாம்.
Correct. Exactly. Perfect. So enablers, these are enablers. They are not constraints, nor are they definitively promising you something. No, they're not definitely promising you something. They're enablers. They're saying, in experience, again, the Tigunath Maharaj Swamiji has said that in my experience, I saw it helps for a beginner when you're starting in this direction. Like my guru Paramahansa Yogananda says, sit either facing north or east always. And he's very, very particular. He says, sit in the same position, sit in the same place, and so on and so forth. Right? But then after a certain point in time, when you're just sitting in the train, for example, what direction are you facing? You feel like doing dhyana, you just close your eyes and you are in dhyana. What direction are you facing? Who knows? You're going northeast, northwest, east, west, right? So we build this slowly. It's important. Like as I said, it's a basic, as a basic enabler. Bhagavan Krishna is saying that this is the way you do it. And even now, wherever possible, sit using sit using north or east. Whenever, as much as possible, I would recommend, don't share your asana with anybody. This this I I've seen this is important that you maintain your own asana. That's it. And then the processes that you do are more important. The intention with which you go in and the processes that you do are more important, right? After you are in a certain direction, doesn't matter what you're facing, anyways, whatever is happening within you is happening, right? So that way. So it's like an enabler. Hmm? And then in the next one, what he's saying that tatra ekagram manah kritva, making your mind one pointed, yata chittendriya kriyaha, having made your mana, chitta and indriya controlling means regulating them. Upavishyasane, being seated in the asana, one should strive to practice yoga. Yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye, for the purification of the mind. Now, how should one sit? Asana is created. How should one sit? Samam kaya shirah grivam. Shirah, which is the head, the kaya, which is the body, and the griva, which is the neck, have to be samam, in a straight line, right? So sometimes what people end up doing is, because you're told to sit straight, I mean, Shiva, you would have noticed the moment in your yoga class you tell somebody sit straight, they'll immediately go like that. They will create a huge curve on your back, right? They'll tend to do that. Oh, okay, I have to sit straight. And then they'll kind of also strain their shoulders. The whole idea is to sit in Sukhasana. Sukhasana is the most comfortable asana that you sit in. You should notice two things. This is what I always suggest, rather three things. One is, notice that your back is reasonably straight and your shoulders are not tensed. Okay, make sure you breathe out and you release the shoulders. Third thing, very importantly, is your anus. I've seen an experience that whenever somebody is tense, their anal hole is tightened up. When you release the breath, you should release, kind of just relax the anus. These three places you notice, you will know if there is tension in the body. If there is tension, just look at this, you will know whether you're tensed or not. Right? And then you can release the tension by breathing out or whatever, and then just sit relaxed. And then in this posture, and importantly, I'll tell Kalpaka, you got kids, Shiva, you also got a child, right? Always try to teach the child to sit in Sukhasana as much as possible from childhood.
So these days, actually, the thing, ever since I spoke to that friend, yeah, so she recommends that, we drink, glass of warm water sitting in that malasana, right? So he loves it a lot. வந்து இந்த டீ குடிக்கலாம்டா வாடா அப்படின்னு சும்மா அந்த ஜீரகம் அதெல்லாம் போட்டு இது மாதிரி காய்ச்சி கொடுத்தேன்னா நான் நைட்ல வந்து he comes sits with me. So yeah, I mean, like you said, whatever we do,
they'll pick. And what I have learned, I've seen people who don't practice Padmasana or Sukhasana, whatever, as they age, sitting on the floor becomes difficult for them. Right? Nowadays, it's very convenient for kids also to sit on the table and eat and so on and so forth. It's just available. You sit on the chair, on the table, and you eat. But the more you develop this practice at home, whenever you sit down, teach them to either sit on full Padmasana if they can, or Ardha Padmasana, right? And then this way, the moment you sit in Ardha Padmasana, you will know your back cannot bend. Your back will naturally will be reasonably erect, right? And so this, as we develop slowly, then during dhyana when you're sitting, it will be like sitting any other time. Adhikaga special, you don't have to do anything, right? So this, what are they called? Slouching and crouching. Is it crouching, Chulvada? Is that the word that we create? Slouch that we create. And that happens because we don't pay attention to the way we sit, right? The posture, and hence during
Hunching.
uh,
Hunching.
hunching, and so during
Yeah.
sadhana when you do, it becomes a special attempt. And if you start doing sadhana at much later years in your life, it becomes even more difficult, right? So you sit that way, yunchyat yogam atma vishuddhaye samam kaya shiro shira grivam dharayan holding achalam unmoving dharayan achalam sthiraha sit still. Okay, now these are obviously he said it in one shloka, right? Sometimes we may strain our back, strain our body. So obviously we should go to teachers like Shiva, who are yoga teachers, to learn the right way of sitting and how do you hold your body, because it's very important. In fact, one line of yoga, which is Iyengar yoga, focuses completely on your body structure, your body, the way you hold your body, right? So it's a very beautiful form of. In fact, I've been looking around also. I've been wanting to go for that. It helps you your set your posture right. Now, so you sit still. Samprekshya nasikagram swam, your own nasika at the tip of the nose. Dishaha cha anavalokyam, do not look in any direction, and then focus on the tip of your nostril. Now, some interpretations are the tip of the nostril is this tip, which is closest to the eyebrow, like we saw the other day, the Agnya Chakra. So you focus here. But here, because it says Nasika Agram, it doesn't say Nasika Prushtam, right? So Agram is in the front. So in the front of the nose, you focus. But that is one way of focusing also, paying attention to that in the front of the tip of the nose. Or it's also Mooladhara. Okay. Kalpaka Singh, it's also Mooladhara. No, I've not heard this as being mentioned as
சில பேர் வந்து அந்த இவர் தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி சுவாமி half closed, looking at the tip of the nose.
So you half close the eye and look at the tip of the nose. Ondra kandu mari agum. Your eyes will squint a bit. But you do this. But I have always found, because I've got Diksha at the Agnya, so I've always found doing at the Agnya Chakra far more effective. So that again, these are what you learn from your teachers. Then Prashanta Atma Vigatabihi, without any fear, your mind settles down. Brahmachari Vrate, in the vow of celibacy, which means your mind doesn't hanker here and there. Sthitaha Manasanyamya Matchittaha, having now controlled the mind, meditate upon me. Matchittaha, and engage Yukta Asit Matparaha. So, which means now what you do after sitting, after closing your eyes, looking at this thing, that thing, your mind is going around. So, saying now bring your mind to a certain state of equanimity. There is a certain peace that will descend. When that peace is there, bring in some object for meditation. If you're able to meditate upon the abstract or the nirguna, wonderful. But if not, then bring saguna, the aspects that are that can elevate your mind. Bring that. Now here he is saying brahmachari vrate sthitaha. In the brahmachari vrate, directly if you translate it, it is celibacy. But brahmachari means Brahman samipe charati iti brahmachari. The one who goes towards Brahman is brahmachari. I don't know why my hand is raised here. My own hand is raised.
Charati means gachatiya.
Charati means to walk. One who walks towards Brahman. Brahman charati. So brahmacharya. So with the resolve of brahmacharya, which means all I want to do is focus on that the divine form, or that which consciousness that is all pervasive. Whichever you take, saguna upasana or nirguna dhyana or saguna dhyana, whichever one you take. He's saying eventually you will come to me, which means your mind will dissolve into the heart will dissolve into consciousness. Okay. Then what he says is the 15th one, yunjannevam sadatmanam, keeping the mind absorbed in God. Evam sada atmanam, constantly the mind, keeping the mind established in God. Yogi niyata manasaha, with a disciplined mind, the yogi attains to peace, shantim, nirvanam, nirvana paramam. So just in 3 shlokas, he suddenly brought you by sitting into an asana to complete absorption, samadhi. So he's whizzed you through, he's done a fast track from asana to pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. He's taken you all the way there. And he's saying the one who sits there established in this finds peace, shantim, paramam, nirvana. Nirvana is a beautiful word. Nirvana, what we'll do today, I think we'll close with 15, this 15 shloka, because we are already close to the, we'll take a little time. What is nirvana? Nirvana means to blow off, to extinguish. Oh, this lamp is there. If the lamp gets blown off, it means it's nirvana. The lamp is now become non-existent. It's blown off. Nirvana, that is what, and in fact, in nirvana is usually used in the context of Buddha. He attained nirvana, which means the individual identity is blown off, extinguishes.
Nirvana Shatakam.
Nirvana Shatakam, correct. So nirvana means when your identity extinguishes, what remains there is peace. So you are not trying to achieve peace, you're not trying to attain to peace, you're just trying to dissolve. What remains there is peace. A lot of times, and in fact, in all of this, in whenever in spiritual sadhana, it's extremely important. We have a goal, yes, but the constantly evaluating and thinking about the goal is not going to help us in sadhana. When you sit down for sadhana, we should focus on the process. The process is extremely important. The more we focus on the process, the more we will automatically go towards the goal of Shantam Nirvana. But if you keep thinking, have I extinguished my identity? Have I attained to Nirvana? So many people have attained. How is it? Why am I not getting this? Why is my mind going around, round, round? Only men are able to do this. Why not women? I think women, there's a problem. I think there is something wrong in this whole, all of this will keep. Then you're lost in, your mind is just having a jolly ride, basically. Your mind is enjoying it. The mind is taking you for a ride. So when this happens, then the focus is shifted from the process to the output. And whenever our focus is on the output, remember your process will slowly fail. So we have to focus on the process, and this is what is pointing out here is the process. The more we focus on the process, there is greater possibility of going towards the end goal.
The more you focus on the output, the process will.
No, the more you focus on the output, the process will decline. Your effectiveness of the process will lose. Efficacy of the process will go because your focus is on the output. The more you focus on the process, there is a much greater chance that you may get to the output, which means there must be Shraddha in the process. Determine Shraddha, have Shraddha in the process and just keep doing. It will eventually bring us there, right? Shantim Nirvana Paramam. Astu, we'll pause here today. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyaiva Buddhyatmana Va Prakate Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanaayati Samarpayami Sadashivayati Samarpayami Jagadambikayati Samarpayami Satgurunathayati Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Satgurubhyo Namaha.
Hari Om.
Thank you.